I get this question a lot. How do you know if it's a good deal? And the answer is it depends. But here are some tools that can help you to evaluate the deal. Welcome back. I'm going to do a 3-part series on Tactics Tuesdays of an analytical lens to evaluate a rental property. The first thing that I look at as a person who buys houses at a discount is, what is the after repair value, or what do we believe the property is going to appraise for? Now, this is important because understanding what the valuation of the property is going to let you know when you refinance the property, how much capital are you going to have remaining in the property. Now, if you have to leave $5 or $10 or even $30,000 into a property, that's not the end of the world. There are other tools and analytical lenses that we'll talk about on next episodes to tell you if it's still a good deal. So here's the thing. The first analytical lens, and I'll give you an example from a property that I looked at for somebody recently in California, is, will I be able to pull out almost some of my money? Let's say I bought a house for $200,000. I put $100,000 into it, and it's going to be worth $450,000. Now, of course, I could list it and sell it and bring that capital into my business. But there are other parts of the business that are important, like holding assets. You create active income in order to buy assets so that you can build wealth over time. So at some point, you actually have to buy and hold on to some assets. Now, if that house is worth $450,000, the first lens I look through is, what is 75% of $450,000? And that number is $337,500. Why is 75% relevant? Well, 75% is relevant because that is what the loan products are for a 30-year amortization, or like a 10-1 adjustable rate mortgage ARM, where you're paying interest only. It's usually allowing you to pull out 75% of the appraised value on a refinance. You can do a rate and term refinance, which means you bring no cash out, or you can do a cash out refinance, which means you actually pull some cash out of the property. Now, in this case, we said we were all in on this property with purchase, rehab, and holding cost for $300,000. The back end loan can do $337,500. So therefore, we can, in fact, pull all of our capital back out of this deal and potentially even take some cash and put it into our pocket. So let's say we put 10 or 15,000 into our pocket. That would be amazing. We basically now got paid to own a completely rehabbed house that has equity in it. It's worth $450,000. We get a loan for $337,500. That means we have a little over $100,000 of equity. That equity will grow over time because you'll put a tenant or a short-term rental or a mid-term rental tenant in there, and they will pay down your debt over time. All you're doing in this case is storing your cash in equity into a property. Now, remember, you bought this property for $200,000. You put about $100,000 all in from rehab and holding cost into the property. So you have an all-in cost of $300,000. You borrowed the money to do that. Let's say you borrowed 100% of the funds. You have no actual capital. On the back end, if you do the refinance and you take money out of it, you literally are getting paid to gain $100,000 plus of equity. That is great in the long run, or the mid to long run. That alone, regardless of cash flow, is a massive win. So that is the first analytical lens. How much equity can I gain, and how much am I paying to get that equity, if any at all? Now, let's say we were in this property for $350,000. It appraises at $450,000. We get $337,500 in terms of a loan onto it. And now we're in this property for about $12,500. You would be paying $12,500 to have $100,000 of equity, plus you're getting debt pay down over the years that's going to continue to build and grow your equity. That alone, that analytical lens alone, will tell you whether or not that is worth it. And to me, I would ask myself, regardless of cash flow, can this property grow my wealth? That $100,000 goes to your net worth and can be tapped into at a later time. So just want to get that first tool out there. Stand by, and I will be giving you the second tool. We'll talk about cash flow, and then we'll talk about return on equity.